Hi, hello students. Welcome to Indian Tech Guru for you. So let us move on to the next chapter. The next chapter is programming the basic computer. Programming the basic computer. So till now, what we have seen? Till now, we have seen about the hardware of the computer. Hardware of the computer. So what are the different hardware components we have seen? We have seen about the main memory or memory components, and we have seen about the processor, registers, and we have seen about the control logic gates, and we have seen about the memory bus, which is going to connect all of these components to perform the data transfers. So all these different components are related to the hardware. So however, our ultimate aim of building the computer is to write computer programs which are going to execute. So the basic purpose is programming. Okay. So however, here there are two different cases. Case one is the programmer or developer do not know the internal configuration of hardware. Okay, so it is possible you may see software developers who do not know the internal configuration at all. So they are going to learn some courses and they are start programming. So case two is the designers of hardware. The designers of hardware do not know about programming. So they don't know about the programming. They know only how to design the hardware components, how to design the processor, how to enhance the processor, how to improve the performance of the processor. All those things they know, but they do not know about the programming concepts. How to write a program, how a program will be executed, all those things they do not know. Okay. So if you mix up these two cases, then we derive at case 3. In case 3, the person knows both hardware and software. So that is the person knows how hardware works, as well as he knows how to develop a software by programming the computer system. Okay. So not in depth, however, he knows the basic how hardware works internally, and he knows how to program the computer system. Then who will be a better person? Case 1 person or case 2 person or case 3 person? Case 3 person will be the most effective person, because he knows the internal details of the hardware, as well as how the computer program is written, and how this program will be executed by the computer system. So that is why, even though we have studied about the different types of hardware components, we need to have a little bit knowledge about how to program the basic computer also. Okay, how to program the basic computer also. So for that purpose, the actual implementation of programming is of different types. So before going to the internal details of how to program the computer system. Now we are going to represent all of the different instructions what we have seen previously. So we have seen in the previous classes memory reference instructions, register reference instructions, as well as input output instructions, and we have represented all those instructions with hexadecimal code. With hexadecimal code, if the hexadecimal code is starting with 0 or 8, then it represents the AND operation. If it starts with 1 or 9, it represents the add operation, like that we have seen. And if a particular instruction is starting with hexadecimal code 7, then those instructions are going to represent the register reference instructions. And if the instruction is starting with hexadecimal code F, then it is represented as input output instruction. So however, it is somewhat difficult to remember these hexadecimal codes, isn't it? So for example, if somebody asks you what is the code for circulating write E and AC, then it is somewhat difficult to give the response as 7080. However, being human beings, it is easy for us to remember the particular operation using a symbol or symbolic code. Okay. So for example, circulate, write, E and AC can be easily remembered using CIR, using the code CIR. CI represents the circulate, R represents the write. Okay. So that is why the instruction set of the basic computer, previously we have shown using the hexadecimal code, can be now shown using some special symbols. So what is the significance of these special symbols? We will see later. So each and every instruction that we have defined previously can now be represented using the symbol, using a special symbol. Okay. So it is easier for the human being to remember the symbols rather than the hexadecimal codes. So that's why, so whatever the instruction set we have seen previously, so let it be memory reference instruction, register reference instruction, or input output instruction. So all those instructions now we will be remembering using symbols, Okay. So what are those symbols? We need to go through once again. Okay. So the first symbol is A and D, AND. It is going to represent the AND. So directly we can, based on the symbol, directly we can say that it is going to represent perform the AND operation, and the AND operation so will be between the M as well as AC. So what is meant by M? M is represented as memory word or operand found at location small m. Okay. So what does it mean? So this is the main memory. And there will be several locations in main memory. So the address of a particular location is small m, and the content of this particular location is capital M. Okay. So now we are going to perform the AND operation. So with this particular operand as well as the content of the accumulator register. So that represents the AND operation. Next, add operation. Add M to AC and move carry to E. So all those operations we have discussed previously, but now we are giving standard symbols for each and every operation. Next, LDA. LDA represents load accumulator from capital M. That is the operand that will be stored in capital M will be loaded to the accumulator register. Okay, this is fixed. LDA means load accumulator from operand. This is fixed. Okay. STA means it represents the store accumulator in capital M. BUN represents branch unconditionally to M, to a memory location M. Next BSA. BSA means branch and save return address. Branch and save return address in M and branch to M+1. So this we have already discussed in previous classes. ISZ, increment M and skip if 0. So increment the content of M and skip if after incrementing if it is 0. Next CLA represents clear accumulator register. CL means clear, A means accumulator register. CLE, clear expansion bit. CMA, CM means complement, A means accumulator register. CME, CM means complement, E means expansion bit. CIR, CI means circulate, R means right. CIL, CI means circulate, L means left. INC represents increment accumulator, carry to E. SPA represents skip if accumulator is positive, skip if accumulator is positive. SNA, skip if accumulator is negative. SZA, skip if accumulator is 0. SZE, skip if E is 0. HLT, halt computer. INP, input information. So INP means input flag, input register. Input operation. Okay, INP means input operation. Perform the input operation and clear the flag. So what is that flag? We have already discussed. So we need to clear the input flag. Out, it is going to perform the output operation and clear the output flag. SKI, skip if input flag is on. SK means skip. I means if input flag is on. SKO, skip if output flag is on. ION, turn interrupt on. I means interrupt on. IOF, turn interrupt off. Okay. So if you observe all of these commands, if you observe all of these symbols, so what is the common thing we observed for all these symbols? All these symbols are having only 3 letters. So let the operation may be hues. Okay, for example, if you consider BSA, so it is having hues operation. What is that? Save return address in M and branch to M+1. However, it must be represented in 3 letters only. Okay. So these are the symbols that are going to be represented for the hexadecimal equivalent codes which we have seen previously. So don't think that these are the new operations. These are not new operations. All these operations we have discussed previously. However, we represented them in hexadecimal code, and we have seen how these operations are carried out using the register transfer statements. However, now we are giving a special symbols for each and every operation. Okay. So based on these symbols, you need to determine which operation is being carried out. Okay. So for example, if somebody asks you, so what is meant by CIR, then you should be able to give the explanation that, so it is going to circulate, write the E bit as well as accumulator register. Like that you need to remember. Okay. Then what type of programming language we will be discussing in this particular session? So in this particular course is we are going to discuss about the machine language. As well as we are going to discuss about the assembly language. Okay. So we will not be discussing about the higher level programming language. So high level programming language like C, C++, Java, we are not discussing here. We are going to discuss about the machine language as well as assembly language. So if you observe, we have already discussed the machine language in the previous classes itself. Okay. So before actually going to the machine language, first of all, so let us define a particular program. A program is nothing but a list of instructions. So which will be executed by the computer by taking some input and giving some output. Okay. So the program is nothing but a set of instructions. We can easily remember a set of instructions. So these set of instructions will be given to the computer to perform a specific task. For example, if somebody asks you to write a program in to find the factorial of the given number, then I will be writing a program, and after executing the program, so you will get the factorial of a specific number. So somebody may ask you to swap the given two integers. Then I am going to write a program for swapping two integers. So some others may ask you to find the roots of the quadratic equation. Then I will be writing a program to implement the roots of the quadratic equation. Okay. So like that the programs we are going to write. However, how these programs are written in machine language as well as assembly language is the current topic. Okay. So there are basically different types of programming languages. So the first type of programming language is called as machine language. It is called as machine language, which we have already seen. So machine language is nothing but the binary code. Okay. So what is meant by binary code? Already we have seen in the previous classes. How an instruction is actually represented. How an instruction is represented using a 16-bit code. The instruction format is using a 16-bit code from 0 to 11. So it will represent the address. From 12 to 14. So it will represent the operation code, and the 15th bit it will represent the I. I represents the indirect bit mode, which is going to determine whether the address represented in 0 to 11 bits is either direct address or indirect address. Okay. So for example, if you give the actual codes, for a specific operation, so then it may look like for I may use 0. So because I am going to implement the direct address. For operation code, I may use 2. So and any 3 different letters, 2107, something like that. So now the operation code will have only 3 bits. Okay. So I need to represent in bits, 3 bits. Okay. So I shall take the 3 bits as 010 as the operation code. Now these 4 bits 0010 will have the hexadecimal code 2. Okay. Next, from 0 to 11, how many bits are there? 12 bits are there. So these 12 bits are, for example, I am going to represent these 12 bits as, so 00, 01, 1111, 1000. Then what are the equivalent hexadecimal codes? So this is 1, this is F, and this is 8. 1F8. So this is the address location where the particular operand is residing. So now what is the complete code? The complete code is 21F8. 21F8 is the complete code. Now what is the equivalent binary code? the binary code is the binary code for this particular instruction is 00100001 11111000. If you like, if you write like this, then it is called as a machine language. It is called as machine language. So what does it mean? So whatever the program you are writing, if it is in completely zeros and ones, if the program is in completely in zeros and ones, then it is called as a machine language code. Machine language code. So however, we know that if you want to represent the program like this with all zeros and ones, so it will be a very huge program and there will be lot of confusion. There will be lot of confusion. So that's why to reduce the size of the program, so what we can do, we can represent the same binary code in octal or hexadecimal representation. Same binary code, we will use the same binary code. However, we are going to represent the same binary code in octal or hexadecimal. For example, if I represent the same code in hexadecimal, then it will be equivalent to 21F8. Okay, so here only 4 letters I am going to use, 4 characters I am going to use, whereas here huge number of 16 bits I need to use. Okay, however, the meaning is same. The meaning is same. So there is nothing wrong in representing the given binary code in octal or hexadecimal code, because it is very easy to the computer to recognize the given code, to convert the given code into binary code, so whenever necessary. Okay, so that's why we can say that if the code is in octal or hexadecimal, then also it is called as a machine language. Okay, then also it is called as machine language. Now the conclusion is the machine language code will be in either complete binary numbers or it may be in octal or hexadecimal code. Even though it is in octal or hexadecimal, then also we can call it as a machine language. Okay, next, the second category of programming code is assembly language. So in case of assembly language, we are going to use the symbolic code. Whatever the symbols we have seen just now. Okay, in the previous slide we have seen several symbols. So add, and, load, store. So all these several symbols with 3 letters, three letter symbols. All these symbols are related to the assembly language. So what we have done in that particular table, we did that because it is difficult to remember the octal or hexadecimal code. So we have represented all the instructions that are in octal, all the instructions that are in hexadecimal code to special symbols, so that it is easy for us to remember the symbols compared to hexadecimal numbers. Okay, so whenever we represent all those instructions in symbols, and if you use these symbols for programming, then it is called as assembly language. However, here the problem is whether this assembly code can be understood by the computer system. This assembly code can be understood by the computer system or not? No. The answer is no. Computer understands only binary code. Or hexadecimal code, so which can be easily converted by the computer into the binary code. However, it do not recognize any other language, let it be assembly language or let it be high level language. So then what to do? How to make the computer to understand the symbolic code which we have defined? So for that purpose, we need a special software known as the assembler. We need an assembler. So what this assembler is going to do is, so it is going to convert the given assembly language programming code into machine code. So what is the purpose of assembler? It is going to convert the assembly language code into machine code. So because it is going to convert the assembly language code into machine code, ultimately the machine code is easily understood by the computer system, and the assembly code is somewhat better compared to the machine language code to the programmer to understand. Okay. Then comes the high level language. Okay. Even though assembly language is having a symbolic code, however, to write very large programs, to write very big programs, so it is somewhat difficult for the programmer to write the program in assembly language, because we need to remember lots of thousands of symbolic codes. So even though we have seen we have shown in the previous table very limited symbols, however, for big computers we need several hundreds of symbols. So we need to remember these symbols to successfully write very large programs. So that is why it is not suitable for writing big softwares, large programs. Okay. So that's why we need to go for the high level language. So what are the different high level languages? So in olden days, Fortran was a high level language. Pascal was a high level language. In present days, C language, C++, Java, C language, C++, Java. These are all the high level language. So what is the main advantage of high level language compared to the assembly level language? All the high level language will be in simple English. Simple English. So you are familiar with the C language. For example, if I want to repeat a set of statements, how I am going to write? While I less than or equal to n, repeat set of statements. Okay. So it is a simple English. So by reading this particular line of code, we are going to understand that. So whenever I is less than or equal to n, repeat the following steps. However, if you write the same program in assembly code, so it is very difficult to understand, because we are using symbolic codes, not the English like code. Okay. So that is why the basic advantage of high level language is it is very easily understandable by the human beings, because it will be in a natural language like English. Okay. However, again there is a problem. What is that problem? Whatever the program we are writing in a high level language, so this particular program is not understood by the computer system. Computer understands only machine language. Then what is the necessity? Once again, we need to convert the high level language code into machine code. So that is actually done using the compiler, or interpreter. Some of the high level language programming languages will use the compiler for converting the given high level language program into machine code, and some of the high level programming languages will use the interpreter to convert the given high level language code into machine language. Okay. So what is the aim of compiler? Convert the high level language code into machine language. So that is the purpose of the compiler or interpreter. For example, if you consider C or C++, C or C++ are going to use the compiler. So Java is going to use the interpreter. So the basic thing is same. Okay, you need not to know what is the difference between compiler and interpreter. So both are going to convert the high level language code into machine language. Okay. Now you have a clarity. What clarity you have? The clarity you have is computer understands only machine language. However, it is difficult for the human beings to understand the machine language. So that is why For the easy understanding of the human beings, initially assembly language using the symbolic codes has been derived, using which we can write programs in assembly code. However, because the computer do not understand the assembly code, we are going to convert the assembly language code into machine language using assembler. For more convenience for the programmer, after some time, high-level languages have been derived. However, because the computer do not understands the high-level language, it understands only machine code. Ultimately, the high-level language code must be converted into machine language. So that is done by a compiler or interpreter. Okay. However, here there is a typical logic you need to understand. What is the typical logic is? What is the typical logic is? I have written a particular program in assembly code in a particular computer 1. I have written an assembly language program. Okay. Then I copied this program and tried executing the same program in computer 2. Then whether it is going to be executed successfully or not. Okay. So whether it is independent of the computer system or not. So yes, it is going to be executed in different computers. However, the assembler program is computer dependent. The assembler program is computer dependent. Okay, based on the hardware, the assembler program may change. Based on the operating system, the assembler program may change. The same rule applies for compiler also. So what is the program I am going to write in Java? The program will run in both the computer 1 as well as computer 2 as well as computer n. However, the compiler for different Java programs, the compiler or interpreter for different computers will be different. For example, if you consider the compiler or interpreter of Java for Windows operating system, it is different. And if you consider for Linux operating system, it is different. If you consider the Macintosh operating system, then it will be different. Okay, the compiler is different. However, the Java program is independent. Similarly, here also the assembler for computer 1, computer 2 is different. However, the assembly language code is platform independent. Okay, so that you should be understanding better. Okay. So why this compiler is different? Why this compiler is different for different operating systems, different platforms? So because the way the Windows operating system understands the compiler is different. The way the Linux operating system understands the compiler is different. However, both will understand the Java program in the similar fashion because the compiler is dependent on the particular platform. However, the program is not dependent. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is the program. What are the program we are going to write? The program written in assembly or high level language is independent of computer, or platform. So let it be any type of computer, let it be i3 computer, let it be dual core computer, let it be any different computer. So it is independent, it will be executing. So let it be different platform, operating system, such as Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Mac OS. So it will be executing properly. However, the assembler or assembler, comma, compiler or interpreter, compiler or interpreter, or computer or platform dependent. Okay, so what is this? What are these assembler or compiler? These are also programs. These are also programs, fixed programs. What these programs are going to do? They are going to convert the given assembly language code into machine code, given high level language code into machine code. Why we are converting? Because the computer understands only machine language code. Okay. So what we learned till now? We learned that there will be several different types of programming languages, and in this course you will be learning about the assembly language code, which is a symbolic code. That's all about today's class. We will continue the remaining concepts in next class. Hope you understand the logic.